Today, I'm gonna explain a German satirical black comedy movie, called Look Who's Back. The movie begins with a shot of a park where Adolf Hitler is lying on the ground, looking confused and disoriented. He wonders why there are no enemy aircrafts in the sky as usual. Shortly after that, an orange plastic ball comes bouncing towards him. He then wakes up and finds 3 kids approaching him. He asks them for directions to the main street, but the boys are suddenly called out by a MyTV television reporter named Fabian Sawatzki. Afterwards, Hitler puts on his soldier's cap and continues on his way, telling himself that he has to get to the Führerbunker. On his way to the Brandenburg Gate, he interprets modern situations and things from a wartime perspective. Meanwhile, everyone he meets assumes he is an actor impersonating Hitler. Still confused by the events around him, he walks away and finds a young woman who speaks German on her phone. When Hitler asks her about the current date, the woman becomes terrified and sprays his eyes with a substance. He then stumbles to a nearby newspaper kiosk and picks up a newspaper, where he is shocked to see the date October 3, 2014. Because of that, he becomes dizzy and eventually passes out. Elsewhere, at an executive meeting, MyTV television boss Kerner praises Christoph Sensenbrink for his achievements as the deputy director. However, Kerner announces that another executive named Katja Bellini will be the new managing director, which surprises and dissatisfies Christoph. Unable to do anything with the boss's decision, he comes to his office and vents out his anger by firing Fabian for no reason. Despite his efforts to convince his boss, Fabian gets thrown out of the building by the guards. At night, he despondently watches the documentary he filmed earlier this afternoon. His mother approaches him and tries to calm him down. At one point, she asks him to pause the video after noticing Hitler in the background. Because of this, Fabian begins searching for him in hopes of getting his job back. Meanwhile, Hitler wakes up at the kiosk and asks the owner about the date. Confused, Hitler thinks that the owner has kidnapped him as a trick of the enemy's secret services. The owner asks him again if he is making a documentary film, mistaking him for an actor. Later, Hitler reads a Turkish newspaper and is shocked to learn about the presence of Turks in Berlin. After reading more about modern Germany, he discovers a completely different nation from the one he left and realizes that no one agreed to him. Lamenting that Poland still exists on formerly German soil, Hitler says the whole war was a waste. Therefore, he believes that destiny has resurrected him for a reason and vows to continue his work. The next morning, the owner asks Hitler to clean his clothes as they are dirty. He then goes to a laundry place, but the attendant there does not want to accept his clothes. Fortunately, the second laundry place is willing to accept his clothes and even lends Hitler some clothes to wear. When he returns to the kiosk, Hitler meets Fabian, who has somehow managed to find him. Amazed by his appearance, Fabian proposes to Hitler to travel across modern Germany and film him for YouTube. Hitler agrees, and Fabian takes up some cash and a car from his mother before the two leave together. That night, the two end up in a hotel, where Hitler is amazed to see a modern television. Seeing it as a propaganda medium, he decides to talk about politics in the process of making their film. Traveling from the North Sea coast to Bavaria, Fabian films Hitler interacting with ordinary Germans and promising to solve their problems with immigrants and guest workers. One day, the two end up in a farm, where Hitler gets bitten by a dog. As a result, he is enraged and immediately shoots the dog with a concealed pistol. Fabian is outraged and seizes the gun, but Hitler calls him a weakling and vows to make a man out of him. Sometime later, they run out of money, so Fabian calls Christoph for help. Unfortunately, Christoph quickly hangs up on the call, indicating that he does not want to help them at all. Soon, they are making money by sketching the passers-by in front of them. After amassing enough money, they continue their journey and meet many people all over Germany. Unexpectedly, a lot of people like Hitler and their videos gain over 1 million hits. Hence, the two return to Berlin, where Fabian introduces both Hitler and his program idea to the MyTV station chiefs. Hitler finally meets Bellini and asks her to save Germany with him, but instead, Bellini decides to use Hitler in one of MyTV's comedies. On the other hand, Fabian threatens Christoph to get his job back, or else he will take Hitler away. Hearing this, Christoph gives him a job as a kitchen boy. Later, Hitler is given a work desk in the TV studio, and Christoph calls his assistant Kromier to teach Hitler about computer and the internet. During the live comedy show, Hitler unintentionally becomes a hit with his old plans for an ethnically homogeneous fascist state. Therefore, Bellini orders Christoph to broadcast Hitler in every of their TV shows. As his success in comedy increases, Hitler gives interviews on various TV shows and shares that his motive is to make Germany great again. He also uses his popularity to meet several people and party figures, slowly changing the government system in Germany. One day, he and Fabian go to NPD headquarters in Berlin, where he questions the federal chairman of NPD about what has been accomplished so far. He then belittles the federal chairman and says that they have wasted enough time, and that each of their words throws the movement back by decades. In the meantime, the cops and district attorney appear at the TV studio. They inform Bellini that they are here for a complaint against an alleged hate law violation. Luckily, the district attorney says that they are able to continue broadcasting the shows. In response to this, Bellini speaks privately with Hitler and asks him to tell her about his background. However, every answer he gives is always seen as a joke by her. At the same time, Kromier hands Christoph a letter stating the payment of the dog that Hitler shot earlier during filming. This leads him to discover the unedited footage of Hitler shooting the dog. In another live TV show, an envious Christoph deliberately broadcasts the footage, which is negatively criticized by the audience. This also ruins the burgeoning careers of Hitler, Fabian, and Bellini, and results in Christoph's promotion to station chief. Not long after that, Fabian and Hitler return to the house of Fabian's mother. As time goes on, Hitler starts writing a book about his new life in the 21st century, entitled Look Who's Back. The autobiographical book soon becomes a bestseller. Following this, Fabian decides to turn the book into a film with the help of Bellini. 3 months later, MyTV's executives hold a meeting to discuss the company's massive loss. Knowing this, Christoph becomes tense and scolds some of the staffs. One of the staff suggests rehiring Hitler, which interests Christoph. Just then, he goes to the movie set and tells Fabian that he will boost their budget by $1 million, if in return, MyTV broadcasts their upcoming film. Afterwards, Fabian and Hitler come to Kromier's house, where Kromier's grandmother identifies Hitler and accuses him of gassing people to death. Enraged, she orders him to leave the house immediately. On the way, Hitler expresses his disappointment upon discovering that Kromier is Jewish. He proceeds to insult Jewish people and belittle them, calling them less of humans. Fabian is shocked to hear this and becomes disappointed with him. Back in the studio, Fabian gets Hitler to replay how he arrived at this year. He asks Hitler what happened before the plastic ball came bouncing towards him, but Hitler cannot remember anything. After a night of filming, he walks out of the set and gets beaten by 2 neo-Nazis who believe him to be a fraudulent impersonator mocking their beliefs. Sometime later, he finds himself in the hospital and sees Bellini in front of him. She informs him that the news of his beating generates sympathy, and he returns to high standing with the German people. While Hitler is recuperating, Sawatsky reviews his old footage and discovers a ball of energy in the background before Hitler first appeared. He quickly returns to the site and discovers burnt leaves. Apart from that, he also finds a board at the location, stating the historical location of Führerbunker. With horror, he realizes that the Hitler he encountered was the real person all along. He then rushes to the hospital to confront Hitler, but finds only Bellini, who says Hitler is at the movie studio. Fabian tries to convince her that Hitler is real, but Bellini does not believe him. Hence, he trashes the hospital room before running for the exit, pursued by 2 hospital orderlies. A few moments later, Fabian arrives at the movie studio and quickly aims a gun at Hitler, saying that he is fooling people with his propaganda. Hitler calmly replies that he was elected by the German people in 1933. Fabian then takes Hitler to the roof, pointing a gun at him. He then corners Hitler and declares him to be a monster. Hitler replies that if he is a monster, then so is everyone who voted for him. Enraged, Fabian quickly shoots Hitler in the face and watches him fall off the roof to his apparent death. Out of the blue, Hitler reappears behind him, claiming he cannot be killed because he is a part of every German. After a while, Bellini calls for a cut and everyone cheers for the successful shoot. It is revealed that this entire scene is a part of the film, and Fabian is a body double wearing a silicone mask. On the other hand, the real Fabian has been committed to a mental hospital following his previous outburst that Hitler still lives. After the film work is finished, Hitler and Bellini are busy giving out autographs and interviews about their famous film. At that moment, Hitler senses that he is on the path to a political comeback as he is more popular than ever. Moreover, German nationalists also give him hope that Germany may be ready for his return to power. With Hitler and Bellini riding in the back seat of a car, and among images of actual nationalist demonstrations, the movie ends with Hitler's voiceover, "I can work with this." Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.